Hello, everyone. My name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about the general history of Virginia, New England, and the Summer Isles. Now, before I go into summary analysis of this work, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and/or comment so that the channel can continue to grow. So in this work, we're following John Smith. Now, John Smith is a very interesting individual. He was born to a farming family, and then his life was just, well, an adventure, we can say. He went to, or he fought in many different wars. He became a captain. Later in his life, he becomes a businessman because what basically happens after Christopher Columbus and the other explorers found the America, or what is now known as the United States. Well, England or Europe, they were very much interested in the New World. John Smith, he comes to the United States, or what's now known as the United States, as a businessman because the Virginia Company or other types of investors, they were treating colonization as an investment, as a business. So the Virginia Company and certain other companies, like the Plymouth Company, they were heavily investing in the colonization of the United States. And so John Smith, when he gets over here with his men, he's dealing with the American Indians in a way that's all about business. He creates maps. He maps the country. He creates, or he writes about. He maps it. He details it out. And he kind of like says, here's what's good about the land, here's what's bad about the land, here's what we're trying to do, here's where we can invest, here's what's good to eat, here's what's not good to eat. His works also include a lot of horrible, disturbing things that happen between the natives and the settlers, such as himself. Sometimes, well, the natives just killed the settlers or people who are coming from England and Europe. Sometimes it was heavy battles with lots of bows and arrows, and the Indians just killed anybody who they didn't like or didn't get along with, or people that were just coming over to just take their land and kill them or take advantage of them. John Smith writes about Pocahontas, who he writes that saved his life. Some people say that his version of the story is not the true version of the story. Now, one thing I'll say about that is that according to history, the winners of history, the winners of people who win the war, they're the ones that usually tell the story. And John Smith, since he's in a position of power, he's the one that kind of like wrote his version of the Pocahontas story, and how Pocahontas saved his life. So it's very interesting what happens within this work. His dealing with the natives, at parts where he was trapped or taken captives, at parts where, well, his life was literally, he was about to die, or certain points where he was about to die. It's very interesting because this work is not about like any other work about the Indians. It's the history of how these places were. It's kind of like business propositions. The way that Jonathan Smith writes within his works, he's kind of like writing, well, there's good food, there's lots of animals, we can eat, we can make business, he's like writing about there's a huge profit. He's also writing the politics of the zone and dealing with all these types of tribes and these people and these savages. Now, he calls the Indians savages, which is because they're not as sophisticated as Englishmen or Europeans. He calls them savages. And, yes, he acknowledges, they can farm, they have food, they have, leaders and chiefs and things like that. But he's very specific in saying that, listen, the Englishmen were much better than them. These are savages. These are people that need God. These are people that need religion. These are people that need Christianity. And so, in one perspective, he is saying within his works that, well, we need to come over here and bring religion to these savages and bring civilization to these savages. And he's also saying, well, they're not that sophisticated. They do have some tools. They have their bows and arrows. They can farm. They have certain things. But they're not as sophisticated or as well known as us. And so this work is, his work is about, the quick summary here is that his work is about the land. He spends his time on observing the land, of tracking the land, and showing us, how wide it is, how big it is, and he creates many interesting maps. He writes about the natives, the people, the warfare between them, and how they traded, how his life was saved by Pocahontas, supposedly, and how he thought about the people, or what he thought about the people, in the way in which that they lived, and the way that they danced, and the way that they sacrificed things, and the way that they kept him captive, and the way that he thought he was going to die, and how honestly he writes about how horrible it can be to be a settler, because sometimes they didn't have enough food to eat. Sometimes the men were literally starving to death. Sometimes it was the weather, the weather conditions. Sometimes it was the dealings with the natives. So John Smith here, his account, it's very interesting in how. This is not exploration. This is not about how, Christopher Columbus or any other type of exploration. This is the Virginia Company. This is all about business. This is the Plymouth Company, all about business, and making money. And so when we're thinking about that, back to that time, England was going to invest into the Americas, into the United States. They wanted money. They wanted resources. The crown didn't just want to fund this itself, so lots of investors, lots of people, wealthy families, they invested their money into this so that they can, make a profit off of this newfound land. And John Smith, he's like one of these individuals he was hired. He sails over there, and he's working. Well, he's working. I mean, it's his job to go over there, and build settlements and build colonies, and pretty much make money for England. And so this work of Jonathan Smith, it tells you a lot about himself, his dealings with the natives, and also, the business side of colonization. Because a lot of times we talk about the war, the injustice, the slavery, and things like that, and captivities and things like that. But we have to understand that, it all comes back to business. And this is when Jonathan Smith, unlike the other explorers, he's a businessman. He's coming to the Americas. He has dealings with the natives, but ultimately his purpose is to, see where, resources can be best used, and where, money can be most invested. And how do the Indians, do they propose a threat? In terms of deeper meaning, in terms of deeper analysis here, it's just very interesting how meticulous Smith is here, in his thoughts. I mean, later in his life, he writes a lot about the Americas, about the people, about the culture there. He writes a lot about the way that the Indians are dressed, their customs, and that the land itself, and how rich it is in resources, and how much different types of animals that it has, that the English can eat, and fishing, eating, and it's just in abundance. So from a financial standpoint, his writings can make you think, if you're in England and you're sitting down and you're rich and you have money, his writings can make you think, well, of course I'm going to go invest into this newfound, this newfound land. It's like, how everybody was so obsessed with Bitcoin now in the 21st century. But at this time, like this, it was the new thing. The Americas, or the United States, well, what's now the United States, it was the new thing, to invest into, to make money off of, to send people to, and to settle different towns and settlements and colonies. And so this writing, unlike other writings, it is that, well, now we have to make money. We found this new land. We found this new property. We have to make some maps, create some establishments, and start producing profit. So unlike other narratives of explorers coming to the Americas or to the United States, this one is different, because it shows you, well, how bloody it literally got between the Indians and the settlers, or people like John Smith, because it was not nice, because, well, the Indians did not want to give up their homeland, and so when they tried to stand up, the battles got bloody. So that's my summary analysis. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.